A very good day to all of you who are joining us today for the 15th session in Fundamental and Technical Analysis training conducted by SC Securities. So over the last couple of weeks, we discussed about chart patterns, and today we are going to move into a new area. We are going to discuss about candlestick patterns. So this week would be the first part of it, and it will continue for a few weeks from here onwards. So as always, let me remind you, if anyone is joining new, please check out our previous videos on fundamental and technical analysis. It's available on YouTube under SC Securities YouTube channel. And also please consider subscribing for it so you can get all the latest updates that we send. So I will hand over to Saliya to take you through today's session. Saliya, over to you.
Thank you, Charitha. Thank you once again for everyone who is joining us for this 15th session. Good evening. We are going to discuss about the candlestick patterns. Probably the first, or rather maybe the second or the third session when we were talking about candlesticks. Just to explain the basics of candlesticks, I drew some drawings like this. And we are going to, at that point, we were not using the specific names given to these candlesticks, but today we will be talking about them. Now, as far as candlesticks are concerned, if you all are interested, you can go to the YouTube and access Steve Nison's website or his presentations on candlesticks. Now he's the guy, he's the person who popularized candlestick patterns into the Western and the mainstream markets. For irrespective of any market, you can use the patterns that he's explaining. And he has many books written, and they are available as ebooks, which you all can, if you're interested, you all can go through them. So as far as the candlesticks are concerned, it's a method popularly used by the Japanese traders, dating back to the 1700s. Especially these trading methods have come into be used mostly on the commodity markets during those historical periods of 1700s to 1800s onwards. So we have to understand, during that period, or during till about the latter 70s, everything was done manually. Even in the 80s, things were done manually, and thanks to the the advent or the evolution of technology, we are now fortunate where we can start talking about candlesticks or anything else as far as charts are concerned, like this. And even our software platforms are very versatile now, and we can, without any issue, we can increase our knowledge. So if anybody is interested, you can go there. I'll just one example as far as that Mr. Nison's website is concerned. There is only 16,700 subscribers. 16,700 subscribers, and only 16,700 people who have made use of his ideas, even though they are freely available. That shows the interest, just like in the Sri Lankan market, those investors and traders who would want to increase their knowledge and confidence in their investing and trading, right? It's something that we can see everywhere in the world. Otherwise, just imagine, a person who has introduced basically made these candlestick patterns popularized in the world has only 16,000 subscribers. You know, so that is the level of interest people are having when it comes to knowledge building and using their knowledge to enhance their wealth. You know, so that is very that is one of the biggest messages that we need to take, irrespective of whoever is listening now, right? If you're the person who is wanting to take the knowledge and put that into practice, right, you will certainly be rewarded, right? Informed decisions, everybody knows, are the best decisions. Therefore, it's a privilege for us to share the knowledge with you all, which are not, these are nothing done by ourselves, but you know, it's popularly or freely available, but even that people are not using. So when it comes to candlesticks, the first candlestick pattern, rather there are several types of candlestick patterns. You have single candle patterns, which we are discussing today. Then two candle patterns. You have 3 candle patterns. Then you have 4 candle patterns and 5 candle patterns. These are the types of patterns that are available when it comes to candlesticks, and they are useful. Today, as I mentioned, we will be talking about the single candle patterns. The first and foremost single candle pattern is called a marubosu. It is known as marubosu. Marubosu. Marubosu candle has a full body. Remember, we were talking about when we were discussing the candles, and also you can see you have the shadows, the wicks up and down. In the case of a marubosu candle, you don't see the wicks. It's only the body that you can see. It's a full-bodied candle, and the complete full-bodied candle, which if you see the open is lower than the close, or otherwise the close is higher than the open, which is shown as a green candle, that is a bullish marubosu candle. Conversely, if you see the open is higher and the close is lower, or the close is lower than the open, that is called the bearish marubosu candle. At the same time, you will see, incidentally, if you want to look at a marubosu candle over here, you can see there are a few, but with a little bit of variations. You might see this candle. Let's zoom it a little to see. If you take these 2 candles, where you have, especially this candle, if you look at this candle, you will see that the open, you can, just draw your attention to these values. If you go there, you will see the open is 80 rupees, the low is 80 rupees, the high is 86.50, the close is 86.50. And since it was a bullish marubosu candle, the following day also we can see that there is a continuation, a bullish continuation that has happened. There again, there is a small variation there, and let me explain what that variation is all about. When it comes to the bullish and the bearish marubosu candles, incidentally, the marubosu in Japanese is called shaven head or clear head or something similar to that. As such, you don't see the wicks up or down or the shadows of that you normally see in a candle. But there are, as I mentioned, there are a few variations, and one variation is something like this, where you see a slight or rather a short wick at the top. In this scenario, what happens is they open with a shaven head, where the open and the low will be the same. Then it hits a high at the top of the wick, then closes below the wick. This is called the opening Marubosu candle. Let me write that. Opening candle. Some say, at the same time, we have interchangeably, they call it opening, bullish opening Marubosu candle. Opening Marubosu candle. Having said that, it does not necessarily mean that you will see only an open with where the open and the low is the same and the high and the close are different. You might see something of this nature as well, where it opens, comes down, and closes at the top or at the high. That also you will see. When you're browsing through, when you're studying the candlestick formations, you will see this as well. So that is basically known as closing Marubosu candle. It is not only, and also it's a bullish closing Marubosu candle. At the same, on the other hand, when it comes to the bearish formation, you have this as the bearish Marubosu candle, and then you will see the open. It will be, when you see the wick at the bottom without the wick at the top, it is known as a bearish, or bearish closing Marubosu candle. Bearish closing Marubosu opening Marubosu candle. Closing Marubosu candle or bearish closing Marubosu candle. Right. So the idea here is that when you see, now let's take this to the other side, which is right here. What happens is, you always have to remember one thing. We do not only study or analyze one section of it, right? You need to take the entire range from the low to the high. That is the entire range. And as we go on with these patterns, you will realize as to why the entire range is important, right? So in this range, what happens is, the range, when you see a formation of a Marubosu candle, you might see that there is a breakout, right? It could be either from a especially if it is a bullish Marubosu candle, then obviously the breakout is from the resistance, right? The prices will break the resistance and close, right? Remember, when the resistance is broken, and closed, that is a bullish formation, or otherwise a bullish, we can have a bullish expectation. Always, even within a minute, within 5 minutes or 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, or even 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month, a breakout from the top, that means breaking the previous high, breaking out the previous high, makes the trend to extend up, right? When the breakout happens from the low, breaking out the previous low, then the trend breaks down, meaning the trend will continue into or reverses into a downtrend, right? Always it's the case. It is not only just a resistance line, because every day in the Sri Lankan market, we know we start at 11 o'clock, finishes at 2:30. That means we have 3.5 hours of trading. 3.5 hours of trading means in terms of minutes, 60 seconds into 3.5 hours, right? When it comes to half an hour, you have 7 candles comprising of 1 day. So therefore, we need to understand that it is not only a resistance, a line breakout, or it can be a diagonal resistance line, or a horizontal resistance line, upward sloping or downward sloping resistance line, or a sideways moving resistance line. It is not only that. The price breakout is the most important thing. The previous high breakout gives you a signal that the trend is going to continue, or trend is going to reverse and make into an uptrend, right? That is important. The price breakout is the most important thing. So when it comes to a Marubozu candle, it shows that the activity in the market has been within the high and the low, right? If you see the entire full-bodied bullish close like this, where the open is below and the close is high, it means that the moment it started the day from the opening price to the closing price, there haven't been a high and a low form, right? So that shows that there have been a lot of interest into the stock, and there had been a lot of active trading happening. So when it, as I mentioned, as I showed you here, by looking at this Marubozu candle, where the open was at 80 and the close was at 86.50, similarly the low and the high also had been 80 rupees and 86.50. The volumes have increased. Previous day's volume, you can see, is something like 1.5 million shares. I'm talking about this candle, and the high of that candle is 81 rupees. So basically, this was the level, right? This was the level. So you can see the market opened the next day at 80, about 1 rupee below the high of the previous day, and the volume of the previous day was 1.5 million. The next day it has gone up to 10 million. So from 1 million to 10 million, and with this Marubozu formation, we can see that the bullish interest into the counter had increased. So that is how that is why Marubozu candles are very important. And with the breakout, with the strength of the breakout, when we say the strength of the breakout, it's the volume contribution, because over and over again I used to say that without volume, prices, price movement is irrelevant. The volume has to be there, right? That creates that shows the demand has increased into the stock. Therefore, here there was a bullish movement along with the price, at the same time along with the volumes as well. So it has gone into the next Marubozu candle, but here you can see the low is at 88.20 and the open is also at 88.20, and there had been a high of 99.80 with a close 20 cents below. So it's, as I mentioned, is a bullish opening Marubozu candle, right? So that is regarding the Marubozu candles. And now here you can see there is another Marubozu candle where the open had been at 100 rupees, came down to low of 94.50, close at 95 rupees. That is known as a bearish closing Marubozu candle. So what you can do is you just keep looking at those and try to sort of, you know, train your eyes for the Marubozu candles. The moment you pick them, once you train your eyes, it will be much easier for you to understand how, I mean, at least the next day's expectations you could kind of analyze today itself. So it's very important to understand and spot the Marubozu candles. Then the next important, candles, single pattern candles, are called the umbrella candles. According to Mr. Nyson, he calls them the umbrella candles, but for us, it's a different meaning. The reason why he's saying these are umbrella candles is because he sees these candles as umbrellas. I don't know whether you can see them as umbrellas, but for him, they are like umbrellas. But for these umbrellas, or rather umbrella candles, he describes these two in two different words. This, in the sense, you know, these candles are described in two names. One is called the hammer, right? Instead of umbrella candle, if I just mention hammer, everybody would have known or would have heard about it. Now, there is a difference between the hammer. I mean, the formation, or this umbrella candle or the same candle in two different places gives different, I mean, two different names, right? When this is at a lower level of a price chart, right? If this candle, either it's a bullish umbrella candle or a bearish umbrella candle, if it is at the bottom of the price, right, it is called a hammer. At the bottom of a price, this is called a hammer, right? But at the top of a price, at the top of a price, it is called a hanging man, right? So once you understand what it is, you have to just shop around and see where these hammers and hanging men, or, you know, hanging man pattern is available, right? You can see here, this is, you know, at the top, you know, at this, you know, when we are here, you don't know what is going to happen to this candle, but this formation, which is at the top, ideally it has to be the top, right? Ideally it should be the top. Therefore we can take, let's say, let's just shop around and see. Okay, this one is a hanging man, right? This can be termed as a hanging man, whereas this could be a hammer. And let's go down to see. This is a hammer, right? So ideally, what I'm trying to say is that ideally, if you see that formation at the bottom of a price, right, they are considered as hammers. Here you have a hammer, here you have a hammer, here also you have a hammer. But at the top, if you see the same formation, that is called a hanging man, right? You can see here, there is a hanging man, right? So once you spot them based on those formations, it will be easy for us to understand the mechanism or the structure of it, right? So you have the hammer and the hanging man, right? Then you have another, I mean, they are not called the umbrella candles, but you have the same kind of a formation. Now in this, you can see that you have a small body. Sometimes the body could be much smaller than this, right? But most of the time, you don't see a upper shadow, right? That's why it is known as a umbrella candle. But in certain instances, you may see a small edge of the wick, something like this, or maybe even like this, right? And they are also known as something like this. They are also known as pin bars, right? But the reason as to why, I mean, what the difference between pin bar and a hammer, or you know, we'll be talking about the others. Pin bar and a hammer is what they say is that there is no difference between the two, but it's just a name change, or you know, while the language, candlestick language evolved, some people used to call these candle formations as pin bars. That is what they say. But as far as Mr. Nison is concerned, he has umbrella candles, and there are two types of umbrella candles. One is the hammer, other one is the hanging man. Then you have another formation which is called the inverted hammer. Then you have another thing called a shooting star. It's the same, but there again, the difference is at the place where the candle is placed. Now, an inverted hammer, you need to, I mean, we describe, or we identify inverted hammers when this formation of a candle is at the bottom of a price, right? You can see something similar to an inverted hammer over here, something slightly similar to that, right? This one might have been a little, I mean, would have been nice if the upper wick is a little bit longer, but this can be considered as an inverted hammer, right? But most noticeably in the Sri Lankan market, not only in Sri Lankan market, but since we are looking at the Sri Lankan market, you will see the shooting star most of the time. Shooting star is when the same inverted hammer is at the top of the price line. You can see a shooting star here, another here, right? Same formation I found somewhere here, but that is at the bottom of the price candle, price chart, right? So you have shooting stars all over. So the moment you see many shooting stars now, you instantly, even this is a shooting star. So when you see several shooting stars, at the same time the price is being rejected at a certain level, that gives you a message, right? So next time when some people are saying that it's due to forced selling that the prices are coming down, or due to manipulation, the prices are coming down. If you have increased your knowledge, if you're a man who is using your knowledge, you will not be bothered, right? You will not be bothered. And now, as far as this worry is concerned, right, all of a sudden in the media, there was this stock called Evergrande, which is now struggling in China. And China, some people are saying China is in the verge of a collapse. Domino effect will become a globalized issue, right? So then what I did was I went and searched for that chart. This is China Evergrande Group, listed in Hong Kong. This is the chart that everyone is talking about. This is a daily chart. If you go to the monthly chart, you will see that this, from here, it has started coming down. So when is this? This is in 2017, right? So nobody knows whether they were struggling from 2017 or why it has started coming down. But only now people are talking about it. Only at this point. It has come down from here, starting from 2017. So what I'm trying to say here is this, right? If you know and use your knowledge, you increase your confidence, right? Then you're not worried about what is happening because you're already prepared, right? So coming back to now, sorry. One is called inverted hammer. At the bottom of the price line. Shooting star at the top of the price line. Right, so as I showed, you have shooting stars all over at the top, right? So at the same time, you need to understand another message that is being given by these shooting stars is that if you analyze at all these tops, right? This is a top, this is a top, this area is a top, right? Then before that you have this area. So all these tops, if you don't see too much of shooting stars, and then you see a lot of shooting stars here, then it gives you a message. The price has struggled to go above a certain level at that point, right here at this area. So this is an area of resistance as a result of that. If you take price levels, it's above 180. So that gives us a message that even when the prices are going now, today it started bearishly. This particular stock, Expo Lanka, it came down to 160. Then it went up intraday to 161 and closed at 166.50. Compared to the last 2 days, it was a good formation, a good development. It closed. We will be talking about that candle also. It closed there, right? Even then, now, since we know that there had been strong resistance at this level, or the supply here had been very, very strong, when the prices are going up, it has to break that strong resistance point to go to the next level, break out here and move beyond that level, right? So we have to, when we are thinking of buying or when we are holding the stock, we need to think and adjust our strategies based on the information these candles are giving us. That is why we are gathering the knowledge for us to use. Thereafter, we will be talking about the tops, right? Rather the spinning tops. A spinning top is something like this. Right, whether it's green or red, spinning top. Spinning top is a spinning top, right? Red or green. This is called a spinning top. Okay, now there are certain candles which are called indecisive candles, right? The formation is not giving us any direction as such, but there is a small difference in the spinning top. In the spinning top, you have a body, right? And by looking at the previous candles, if the formation or the close of the spinning top, right, can tell us something not very strongly, but to a certain level, right? That is why I mentioned this is an important candle. This is a spinning top. In that, this is an indecisive candle, but at the same time, what it means is that previous day, which is yesterday, it came down to a low of 162, right? It came down to a low of 162. But at the same time, the next day, that is today, it came to a low of 160. Then yesterday's high was 166. Today's high is 169. Yesterday's body is between 166 and 162.75. Today's body is between 163.50 to 166.50. So based on the body, the bottom of the body was bottom of the body here was 160. Bottom of the body is 162. 162.75. Bottom of the body is 162.75. Here, the bottom of the body is 163.50, right? So as a result, this spinning top is telling us that there had been a bullish reversal or a change of circumstances to the positive. And tomorrow onwards, we will be able to see, or at least tomorrow, we can see whether that expectation is true. Okay. At the same time, there is another pattern here, which is actually a two candle pattern, which we'll be talking about probably next time around. And this is the spinning top. And then we move on to Dojis. Once again, Doji Candle is an indecisive candle. In a Doji candle, it's something like this, right? This is a typical Doji, just like a cross. Normally, a Doji doesn't have a color. Okay. Now you might see Dojis somewhere around here. Okay. You have one Doji here, right? If we zoom it, you will see you don't see a color in that, right? This is a regular Doji candle. Right? Then you have a candle like this, where the open, the close, and the high. Open, the close. Open is on the left side, close is on the right side, and the open. In actual fact, you don't know whether it's on the right or the left, because the open, the close, the close and the high is the same price. But with a long lower shadow, long lower wick like this. This is called a dragonfly. Then you see the opposite. Where the low the close and the open all are at the same price, but with an upper wick where the high is at the top or tip of that wick, right? That is called the gravestone doji. Now these gravestone dojis or dragonflies. Now a dragonfly is when you see at the top, most of the time when you see at the top of a price, that does not necessarily mean that it is at the top, but you whether it's at the top or the bottom or in the middle, it doesn't tell you anything, because only thing that you can analyze out of this will be by looking at the other candles before this candle or after the candle. I mean, obviously you can't understand what is happening after the candle, but before the candle sometimes you might be able to analyze what kind of a direction that it could be. But with this you can't analyze what is going to happen to the forward candle, unlike in the spinning top. Here we can at least, since it's a bullish close, and there is another reason as to why this is an important candle. We can, by looking at the spinning top and evaluating these two candles, you might be able to tell tomorrow also this bullish kind of a reversal that took place today will continue, right? But with regard to a doji candle, the forward it can be either way, right? Then the final doji candle is called, once again I must tell you, doji candles do not have colors, but since I'm using these, I'm just making dojis from those both colors. This type of a formation is called long legged doji, meaning both sides you can have long legs, long wicks, or otherwise sometimes it can be like something like this also, right? Something like this, or it can be something like this. That is what you have here. It's a long-legged doji. This is something similar to, as I mentioned, a hanging man or a spinning top, right? Here also it could be a spinning top or a hanging man, or it can be a doji, but there's a small, very short body in that, right? So these are the most important single candle patterns. At the same time, you might see dojis, something like, give me a moment, dojis with very small wicks, something like this. They are all dojis. And also you might see a doji like this, right? And this is something that we find in, you know, in markets like, you know, the 1 minute chart, you will see something like that. 5 minute chart, sometimes you might see many dojis. You can see here. Dojis like this. So basically what it means is that for 5 minutes, it had traded only at 163.75. Then there had been a distance, meaning a small range. Then again at the same 163.75. And you can see that there is a gravestone doji here. There is a dragonfly here. A dragonfly here. Then there's a small, you know, a neutral doji, something I'm just now showed. So those are the dojis, right? And in the case of this 5 minute chart, you can see there are many, you know, shaven-headed or marubosu candles here. Sometimes it is not. I mean, that's why I mentioned. You can see based on the what do you call, on the volumes, you can study how accurate and how strong these marubosu candles are going to be, right? And here you have an increase, here relative increase, but with a high, you know, breakout. At the same time, even now these are called gaps, but in the case of candlestick vocabulary, they are called windows. We will be looking at the windows as time goes. I mean, during the next several sessions. So basically, those are the things that we have to understand about the candlesticks when it comes to the single pattern candlesticks. And then also remember, if we are talking of all these formations, the range itself is not going to be the important thing, right? If you see a candle like this with a longer wick, low below or at the top, right? These are as I mentioned, this is a hanging man, and as I mentioned, this is a spinning top. But the range can vary. The reason as to why the range is important for us is to understand the extent of activity, right? The volume and the extent of the range will help us to understand how strong that breakout had been, right? So that's it from my side. If you all have any questions, now you all can ask them.
Thank you, Saliya, for this excellent presentation. So that's what we have for today. And we will be again meeting you next week. And I think it's time for the Q&A session.